Wait, media training in DC? So
Hmm.
politics?
Yeah, I worked in DC for a short 6 months, um, and I absolutely hated it. But I worked for a political nonprofit for a while, and I think that was the most depressed I've ever been in my entire life. The most
DC
depressed.
working in politics for a nonprofit. Yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds like three really bad ideas rolled into one.
Yeah,
Like,
well, I didn't have, well, I still don't have a degree, but I was in an internship and they liked me so much. And so it was during COVID. So that made it even like 10 times worse because the whole city was shut down. Yeah. Yeah. So the president's, the CEO, his assistant went to work from home. So they needed an in office assistant. And they were like, hey, you want to replace this one girl that's leaving and you could be the assistant? I was like, sure. So I went and worked and I lived in the building, in their little manager suite that had no kitchen, had no washer dryer. And it was in the heart of like Arlington, not the heart. It was like but it was in Arlington, right across the river from DC, and it was terrible.
yeah, I used to. I'd go down there with a buddy of mine that was in the Air Force, and when I'd stay with him, we would stay over in Alexandria, so
Oh,
right
well,
by
that's
there.
way better. That's way
Yeah,
better.
unfortunately, you said you were there during COVID, so I don't know if they had they shut everything down. I don't know how long you were there. Was stuff starting to reopen while you were there at all?
Yeah, a little bit. So, because I went there. Gosh, I don't even know. My perception of time is so off now. Um,
Tell me about it.
I think it was in 20 I left 2019 in November, I believe. And then I or 2018. No, 2019. I think it was 2019, and then I left like around May of the next year, May or June.
Okay, so
Um
did you get to go to Ray's Hellburger at all in Arlington?
no,
Oh
no.
my god, it's the best burger joint on the planet. You'd pay like $12 for a milkshake, but like they just bring you the cup from the mixer and they're like, there you
Oh,
go. So
that's the
it's
best.
it's it's like this big. You leave feeling like you just like devoured an entire family of cows. It was wonderful.
That's what Johnny Rockets used to be.
Yeah.
But no, I didn't have a lot of friends because the DC bubble is so real, and I'm from
Right.
California, so I'm like I have like SoCal energy. I feel like so you're literally well, no, I'm not LA, but like you're friendly. I'm not like
Don't
trying to.
identify with that.
No, I don't try to rub elbows for fame, and I don't try to rub
Right.
elbows for influence or like job opportunities like a lot of people do in DC. I'm actually interested in getting to know people on a human level, and that's definitely one
Wrong
of the
city to do it.
wrong city. Like my favorite story to tell about my experience in DC, and I think it's pretty telling, is when I went to a Bible study, and with this dude that I met at a coffee shop who was going to end up moving back to where I'm from for med school, and I met him at a coffee shop in Arlington because he was talking major shit about my city. He was like on the phone. He was like, "Yeah, that place is just a bunch of crackheads," and I was like, I mean, it's true. And
Okay, all right, it's true.
I
I
mean,
mean,
we were like meth capital of California for a while, but and then he noticed my shirt, invited me to a Bible study, and one of his friends, the first thing, no hellos, how to do's. So, what politician do you work for? And I'm like, oh my god. Yeah, I was like, oh,
coming out swinging.
I need to leave. Yeah.
Yeah, coming out swinging.
Hmm.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could never work in politics. Like I did some door knocking and like some voter registration events and stuff over the summer with Scott Pressler and JD Longo and all those guys. I was out signing people up for Trump Force 47 at the Butler rally. So like
Oh, that's
that was
great.
about as far. Yeah, that was about as far as I get into politics. Like JD Longo, he's a mayor of a town not far from me, about 25 minutes. He was like, dude, we got to get you into something. We got to get you into office. And I'm like, buddy,
You're like, no.
you've been on my podcast. You've seen who I am. You've seen how I act and how I talk to people. You think I'm going to make it anywhere near political office, you're off your fucking rocker.
Yeah.
Like, I would be the guy, I would be like Trump 2.0. Somebody would ask me a question. What do you plan to do about this? Well, I don't really think that's any of your business. Just know you're going to fucking pay for it. Like, bye. Next. You. No, not you. I don't like you. Next. Like, I could never be anywhere near public office. I don't
Right.
have the patience, and I definitely am not a nice enough person to sit there while some blue haired they them is screaming in my face. Because at that point, I would just tell them that, 47% of their friends are waiting on them and they can go handle that.
Yeah. See, I think I'm the opposite. I'm way too nice. That I would be definitely curb stomped in the street. Um,
Hey, look at
so
it this way, though: Asian descent, gay.
okay,
It's two hate crimes.
it's two hate crimes, but they'll justify it because that's what
Oh
they're at
yeah.
about now. That's all they're doing now is justifying. It's tolerance until it's inconvenient. You know what I mean?
I don't even know that tolerance is like part of their thing anymore.
No,
Like
no, it's tolerance for anyone who is in line with their regime. So
every last detail of it. I mean, look at how bad they ate Gavin Newsom alive when he started his podcast. Like he
literally,
had Charlie Kirk on, and they discussed the whole men and women's sports thing. And then by the next day, the 29% that approves of the Democratic Party was just ripping him to shreds. Like,
well, I mean, his approval rating went from a plus, what was it, plus 4% to a -6 after that, which was a whole 10-point
oh,
difference. hmm
oh, so he had a 4% approval rating. He's
If
doing
you
great
know,
out
net
there.
net approval, I should say, net
No, net
approval. Yeah,
approval. Okay.
yeah.
Yikes.
But yeah, I mean,
Oh,
like if you don't toe the line, you're done.
yeah. I
And
was going
I
to say, I
thought I
wonder why.
well,
He's a
I
great
literally
governor, right?
San Franciscans and West Hollywood peeps probably think so. But I mean, I thought that was going to be there. I mean, aside from him being on camera, being hypocritical, saying, "Oh, I've never talked about Latinx before," and he's said it so many times from the podium. I thought that was going to be the Democratic Party's saving grace towards moderation, and they just don't know how to self-assess, and they double down. And I honestly like, and I say this a lot now in my videos. The fall of the Democratic Party really needs to be a case study. Like, it's absolutely
Yeah.
wild how far they've fallen in such a short amount of time.
Well, I think it comes back for me that like what I was noticing was the fall of the Democratic Party is one word: narcissism. And it's because they have built this culture of gaslighting and victim culture, this self-absorbed, like just artificial um, movement. And so everybody, regardless, is kind of like they're in it for themselves. Who can be the most oppressed? Who can be the best person by standards? Like, you go through all of these purity tests, and the problem that the party has now is that even when they're fucking up and they're making mistakes, they're too obsessed with their own image to realize when they're outright lying. We just talked about this on the show the other night, the reunion show, the anniversary, and that was like Jasmine Crockett with the whole Governor Hot Wheels thing, and she put out her statement and was like, "I wasn't even thinking of his condition. I would never say something like that. It's so disgusting." And then you go back on camera, and there's videos of her being like, "Yep, him rolling over here," and like it's not the first time she's done it,
No,
but the party is so obsessed with itself and so ingrained in the TikTok culture of like nobody's gonna care. Like it's clips, clips, clips at a time. Well, those clips are pretty widely available. You're you're doubling down on things that can very easily be searched,
oh yeah.
and it's losing them a lot of trust
Well,
among their own voters.
well, I think is even funnier is that because I people know that I'm gay on TikTok. I literally have gays for Trump on my description, but when leftists are calling me the most homophobic things, and I'm like, what is going on? Like, it's just that moral
Yep.
high ground that they thought they had, or that they claimed to have, it falls so short because it just depends on who's speaking at the time. As long and it's the same thing, like, it's but the hypocrisies have always been apparent. I remember when I was younger and we would talk about abortion, and it was like all my girlfriends at the time, they would be like, no uterus, no rules. But if I was pro-abortion, my non-uterus status doesn't matter. Clearly, I am the voice of reason in the room. So it's it the Democrats have always been hypocritical. um I don't think, and I mean, the Republicans are hypocritical too. They can be, definitely, but I think the Democrats are just more apparent about it. But what is so psychopathic is that they will gaslight you into believing that they're not. And I
Yeah.
think that worked for the longest time under the guise of moral exceptionalism. Um, yeah, and I think now that we're seeing, like, especially their corporate views being very corporatist, Kamala Harris getting $1 million, or giving $1 million to Oprah Winfrey to basically clout chase her campaign. Um, I think it's all falling apart, their house of cards, because people are seeing through their what they what they tried to campaign on, or tried to have PR wise being morally better than everybody else.
Well, and and it's not just the big ones. It's not just the Oprahs, right? It's like the guys like Harry Sisson, Chris Mowry, like, oh, they're paid shills to the DNC. Well, we don't get any money. Show us where they pay us.
Did you just see his
Right
apology
here.
video? Did you see his
Oh yeah,
apology?
it was all blamed
The
on Trump and Trump
non-apology.
supporters.
Oh yeah, it's
Yeah,
just like 3 seconds in.
yeah,
This is all MAGA's fault, and I'm like, whoa, whoa. And his comment section was not about it. So the
no.
Democrats are losing when people are not fighting tooth and nail trying to defend their TikTok star. So
Well, and it's funny because they like to bitch and complain about the infighting that happens all the time in the Republican Party, and it's like, well, hold on, wait a minute, no, that's called debate. That's something we welcomed. What's happening inside your own party right now? That's infighting. People
I mean,
don't believe you.
in the same interview that Hakeem Jeffries was giving, I think on Capitol Hill, he was saying that the Republicans are infighting, that they're falling apart. I think he was asked a question immediately afterwards. So, do you think AOC should replace should replace who was it? Um, Chuck Schumer. And I was like, well, that's pretty telling. That's pretty funny that you're going to talk about our infighting and that we're falling apart. Meanwhile, literally a child bartender who was a plant in your party, let's give her some credit. She's never wavered on her communist stances, but she's actually set and poised to replace Chuck Schumer.
Right.
So it's wild. It's wild.
Well, and it's interesting because we talked about that the other night too, and it's like AOC is popular because she's a child of TikTok, right? She's popular because, let's be real,
Her
she's
Instagram
attractive.
lives. Hmm.
Yeah, she's attractive and she knows how she's got a personality. She knows how to rile people up. Like, that's all fine and well. Those things don't win you elections.
Hmm.
But look at her record as a congressperson. She's been totally ineffective. She's done nothing. Like, sure, she's like tried to co-sponsor a couple bills that have never even made it to the floor. Like, she has done next to nothing with her entire career. And so how anybody on the Democratic Party or in the Democratic Party thinks this person should be our front runner, I don't I don't understand it.
Well, it's just I kind of can, because populism is now popular. She's very populist. I think the Democratic constituents are now like, hey, establishmentarians are not working anymore. Bernie Sanders, I mean, if they didn't kick him out of the primary back in 2016, I think he would have really been poised to win.
I
Um,
think I'll go out on a limb and say that I think he would have.
I honestly do. I think he would have won, if they just went with what the people actually wanted. But it makes sense to me what route they're going towards is populism, but it's populism without any intellectual honesty behind it, because they can't look inwards. They can't improve upon their losses. They just deflect. So it's populism while deflecting towards the enemy. They have no goal, they're not fighting for something, they're fighting against something. And that's always going to be the losing battle when it comes to
Yeah.
politics and PR.
Yeah. I mean, you got to look at it like this too. When it comes to this idea of populism from the left, it's they're laying it out as populism. It's full blown socialism.
Oh, yeah.
The Argentine government did the same thing, which that brand of populism is not so popular, right? It's the what we're seeing right now with the Trump administration is we're seeing essentially a 90s Democrat
Well, I mean, he
running
was a Democrat like his whole life.
his
He's
entire
a New
life.
York Democrat.
And that's why he capitalized on something you mentioned earlier, which is the corporate elitism and everything else within the Democratic Party, the war hawks, the quote unquote the neocons that moved into the Democratic Party. He capitalized on that and he ran as a Democrat. And I think that's why this time around the Democrats didn't know what to do. They had ousted their dementia riddled puppet. He kind of fucked them back by installing the most unlikable and least popular vice president in 30 years. She had no policy positions whatsoever. She couldn't talk on a camera. And they had to try to find a way to battle this groundswell of democratic principles that had now shifted to the Republican Party.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, what Donald Trump has been fighting for, especially in terms of like immigration and stuff, this was a Democratic Party platform in 2008, 2012. So
Yep.
it's funny to watch the parallels between Trump's speeches and going back just what 15 years ago, and you can see that the Democrats are fighting for the same thing all the way from Nancy Pelosi to Hillary Clinton to Obama.
Yeah.
So yeah, the left really just took the most extreme parts of their constituents because they were the loudest. The
Yep.
extreme ones are always the loudest. They literally just kowtowed to everything that they wanted, thinking that that was going to keep them winning. When clearly it brought them so far off, so far off from what the average, and they're so out of touch with the average Americans, so out of touch.
Well, and I don't think it was even just that. It was the fact that they, instead of focusing on their platform, they pivoted to Orange Man Bad.
Well,
And
I think
that
that is
was
their
their
platform.
platform.
That is their platform. Yeah.
Like, and it makes you wonder why that became the case, because that sort of fear mongering and like people saw through that. So why wouldn't they just put their policies forward? Like,
Because that's
there are
not where the
more
money's
people
at.
that
That's not where the money's at.
it's
That's not what their
crazy
donors
to
want.
me.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. Their donors. They like to say that they're grassroots. Their donors, for every one billionaire that backed Trump, two back Kamala Harris, backs the Democratic Party. What,
Mm-hmm.
9 of the 10 richest counties in America are blue? You know, their donorship is based around big bucks. And so if the big bucks say, "Hey, you keep swinging left," they're gonna keep swinging left. And clearly, the money is still going towards swing left because otherwise they would be pulling right if they could,
Well,
if
yeah,
they
look
wanted
at who
to.
they've kept in the spotlight. They've kept Tim Walz, AOC, Bernie. And
And
at
these
one
people
point,
are
I had a
literally
lot of
arguing
respect
for
for
political
Bernie.
violence. They're literally arguing in favor of that when they were
Oh,
decrying
yeah.
what January 6th.
Every time you turn around,
Every time.
that's their go-to. That's
Yep.
their go-to.
Yeah, but they're
And
going to
it's
say, hey,
like,
political violence was bad then, but we're fine with BLM Summer of Love. We're fine with Teslas being burned. We're fine with Molotov cocktails being thrown into Tesla shops. They're fine with what Luigi Mangione did, and and it's just the blatant moral hypocrisy.
yeah.
Yeah.
It just, for me, the double standard is crazy because they don't seem to understand. Like, yeah, January 6th was stupid. It was horrible. Like, people should not have gotten out of control and caused the insane ruckus that they caused. Like, people got hurt, unfortunately. So, Ashley Babbitt and some
Hmm.
others, they were either killed or they died on scene. You know, you had, yeah, it was horrible, right? But it was one isolated incident limited to one location. Period. The BLM riots all over the country. The Tesla fire bombings are happening repeatedly. It's not a one-time incident. So the left tries to use this weird framing that, okay, so a couple crazy people are doing really bad things. That's not indicative of the whole base. It's like, well, was it indicative of the whole base when you guys were crying to defund the police while Minneapolis was burning to the ground?
Literally.
Like, was that like, are you going to come out and condemn this? And there, so far, there's been no strong public condemning.
Well, I mean, if anything, they were supporting it by that mass wave of politicians, blue politicians, trying to raise money for bail, for bailing these people out. So no,
Of
there
which
was
Kamala
definitely
was
not
one.
any. There was no opposition. It was all support, financial support for the people who were doing this.
Well, I mean, you saw the same thing with the campus protests. Like, it's all astroturfed.
Mm-hmm.
And for
Mm-hmm.
some reason, the left views the backdrop of the Capitol as the reason that January 6th was so horrible. They tried to topple our democracy. Well, what are you guys doing right now when you're vandalizing Teslas and burning shit to the ground, and like, it's political.
I
We
mean,
knew Elon Musk was going to be a
what
part
what
of the
happened?
government.
What happened with Chaz? I mean, like you literally created your own little government inside Seattle, which is a blue city. It's absolutely insane. And they talk about, oh, you're ruining democracy. But the thing is, weren't they just like harassing Brett Kavanaugh outside of his house because he didn't rule in favor of what they wanted? Like,
Yep.
they don't even know what democracy is at all. They don't know
Mm-hmm.
anything they protest about. They don't even know what they're talking about.
Well, some of them don't even know what they're protesting for. That there was
True.
that great interview during the Columbia protests, and they're like, "So, what are you here protesting against?" Well, I don't actually go to school here, but my friends are here protesting, and what are we protesting for? Like,
Well, because
why
half
don't
these
you just
people,
say they're paying me to look mad?
they're
Like,
paid. They're paid. I know they're paid, and there's evidence that these protesters are paid. That's, I mean, it's,
oh
and
yeah,
the thing, it's these people are like, oh, it's, I'm so flabbergasted by half this stuff because it's like it's just so out of the realm of rational discussion. It's so out of the realm of rationality. Like, it doesn't make any sense that people would support even like paid protest. They're like, well, clearly, if they're getting paid, that they want to do. No, they want to do it because they're getting paid. Like
that's
like
it.
people were getting paid what, $40 an hour to go protest Tesla. Sign me up. I'll do it. I'm broke. I live in
Yeah,
California. Give me the
yeah,
money.
right. No, exactly. I mean, you look at those things, and it's like, what's the point? Because there's no genuine outrage. You think somebody's going to go to jail for that $40 an hour? No, they're going to get cleared the fuck out
Right.
real quick.
Right.
Like, and if you follow that money, most of it's foreign. Like the campus protest and everything, all of that money came from Qatar and
UAE,
was
Qatar.
funneled
Yeah.
through. Yeah, it was. I mean, just funneled through how many NGOs until it finally got down to the final level. It's
Right.
like, there's nothing legit about it. It's Democrat money, Democrat donors at the top of these NGOs that are like, well, let's just fake some outrage. But yet a legitimate outrage, which was January 6th, is regarded as the most horrible thing ever. And when you look at it like that, oh, now it makes sense, because people genuinely pissed off and wanting change is horrifying to them, because the people pissed off and screaming for change on their side have no idea the change they're screaming for.
Well, right. Well, I mean, these people are arguing about democracy, and they're like, but it, like we got the House, we got the Senate, we got all the swing states, we got the electoral college and the popular vote. You're done. You lost.
Yeah.
Like, people did not want what you were putting on the table. I'm sorry. People wanted what we're getting right now. We literally had a
Uh-huh.
mandate. There's no arguing about it. And I thought that's what would keep them quiet. And I think it did the first month, first two
Uh-huh.
months post November. But like they're screaming about things that we knew were gonna happen now. And it's like, you guys are nuts. You guys are nuts. You guys don't even know what you're arguing for anymore. And I mean, we're just bringing that full circle. Clearly they don't, because they don't have a leader in their party right now.
No, they don't. That's the problem.
They don't
Like
have a leader.
we were trying to figure this out the other night, was like
Who would lead?
who is at the forefront? Yeah, who's going
Like
to lead them right now?
you don't even hear from Buttigieg anymore. You don't hear from Gretchen Whitmer anymore. Like,
No.
what we have Jasmine Crockett, who is now in her own controversy. We have AOC, who she can only get 30,000 people at a rally in Denver, of all places. Can only get what,
Yeah.
36,000 people, and she had to bring Bernie Sanders along.
Yeah.
Like, your optics are so bad.
Yeah, they're floundering. Like they're like a fish out of water right now, because I think they realize that, especially coming into 2028, there's not going to be Trump bad to run on.
Mm-mm.
And people clearly don't like these far left policies. So who are you going to put in your party to even consider running? Are we going to see a Jasmine Crockett AOC ticket? I hope to God we do, because that would be the easiest win in
That would be the
history.
easiest win. Mm-hmm.
But outside of that, none of the Democrats that are at least in like they're not so much in the public eye. Like Ro Kahana, for example, I actually very much respect him.
Mm-hmm.
He's a populist Democrat. People like that, you have to run, but they'll
Yeah.
never run him
Mm-mm.
because racists in America won't vote for a brown guy.
Yeah, because we haven't had a brown guy for president before. Um,
And somehow society became more racist after that.
which I think, just to bring it back to 2020, I mean, look at the Republican candidates versus the Democrat candidates. We had all white people on the Democrat side and all people so diverse on the Republican side.
Yeah.
This current cabinet is crazy with all the women. Tulsi Gabbard being a Samoan of all places, coming and being in the highest echelons of this country.
Yeah.
But because we haven't had a Republican president that is, 2% darker than European, we can't claim any moral integrity, I guess.
Well, no, and it's across the board too. Like I had somebody message me on Facebook the other day and was like, "Hey, just so you know, I don't think we can consider each other friends anymore. We're on a different set of morals." And I'm like, "Okay, so why?" And they brought up, well, I've seen your podcast, and I don't want to have any fellowship with a Trump supporter. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'm like, let me explain something to you though. Let me tell you why I voted for Donald Trump. And I went through the whole spiel of like, I'm definitely more of a libertarian, a bit of a populist mindset here and there. He aligned most with my values. I criticize him almost daily. Every time there's something that is questionable within the administration, I criticize it. Even if it's something as stupid as that Studio Ghibli meme they posted on X. Like, you saw that with like the fat, overweight. Yeah. I was like, okay, that's really stupid and childish coming from the White House account. I don't like that Trump surrounded himself with neocons. Like, the list goes on. And I'm like, so I'm not by any stretch of the imagination a MAGA guy. I voted with what aligned closest to my ideals, and that was
Right.
Donald Trump. And then he immediately, you voted for him. That's the problem. He's like, you're an enemy to your own people. They hate you. They would just rather wait and use you for your vote and then slit your throat and watch you bleed out. And I'm like, what?
What
do you mean?
That's the type of rhetoric I get from the left. I don't get that ever from the right, ever.
Well, and it's like he was trying to frame it around the fact that, oh, you're a gay man. You turned your back on your own people. Like, okay, hold on. What is the logic for that? Donald Trump, not only in his personal life, hosts gay weddings at Mar-a-Lago all the time, but his first administration, he was the first person to ever appoint an openly gay cabinet member as a president. He's the first president to come in supporting gay marriage. This time around, he put an openly gay man, Scott Bessent, in charge of the fucking Treasury, one of the highest positions in this country.
Yep.
He has women throughout his entire cabinet. His attorney general's a woman. ODNI is a woman. His secretary of education, like his fucking chief of staff, like
But
the racist, sexist thing. There's no logic to it. And I
there,
just get, well, you voted for him. That's it. I'm like, okay.
you can't rationalize the irrational at the end of the day. You just can't. As much as I try to, and as much as I love trying to make people look like a fool in my comment section, there's no rational way in talking with the irrational people and like trying to prove them wrong. It's not going to happen. They're too they're too I don't want to say brainwashed because that's such a cope, but it really
Yeah.
is. It's like I don't understand what programmed you into believing that that Trump, the only person that's gone into office agreeing with gay marriage, is anti-gay, has gay weddings in his own house, is anti-gay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, log cabin Republicans, he literally he fundraises us all the time. What he had
Mm-hmm.
what a $2 million fundraisers with Melania Trump in their own
Mm-hmm.
a penthouse in New York, and then
Mm-hmm.
log cabin's Lincoln Gala, the Spirit of Lincoln, is in Mar-a-Lago every year. It's
Yep.
like, what are you talking about? And but they just can't allow themselves to be wrong. They can't allow themselves to be wrong
No.
because if they're wrong about one thing, there must be other things that are wrong, and
Oh,
that
oh,
totally
absolutely.
upends their whole cornerstone of their beliefs.
Well, and it's mind blowing to me that they'll look at me and say, "Oh, well, you're gay. You voted for Trump. Like that means you're an absolutely horrible person." Like I had somebody the audacity. It was like, "Are you sure you're actually gay?" I'm like, "Honey, give me one sec. Let me get into my hidden album. I'll show you how
Yeah, let
gay
me show
I am.
let me
Like,
show you what I got
like
back
I'll
here.
show you how gay I am here." And they're
Let me
like,
show you
"No,
my
no, no,
birth
I
certificate.
don't."
Hold on.
I'm like, hold on, let me sign up for OnlyFans, put it behind a $22.99 paywall. You want to see how gay I am? Go ahead, subscribe. There it is. Like
Like, what else do you need
these
from me to
people are
prove?
just, yeah. Like, what do I have to prove to you? And they conflated this whole concept of like, oh well, don't you care about your trans friends? Yeah, actually, I do. That's why I want them to go to a fucking therapist. That's why I want them to go learn coping skills. I don't want them
I
chemically
mean,
castrating themselves. Like,
and then we have trans Republicans like Blair White. Like, I love Blair White, but Blair White is common sense, like trans policy. She's like, I'm a dude.
I'm
I'm a
I'm a
dude. I
dude.
know I'm a dude. I present as a woman. I go by she, her, and she, her, he, him. Pronouns are just utilitarian based on what you look like. So if I'm not passing, that's my fault. And if there's anybody that I press onto, especially conservatives, it's Blair White, because I learned so much about trans issues just from her because I didn't want to hear from the blue-haired man thing in the corner wearing fishnets
Yeah.
and probably a nipple piercing or two. Not that I can judge because I do, but but like, it's like these are the most freak of nature type people, and they're the loudest in the corner, they're the loudest in the room, and they expect you to respect them before they even show any ounce of respect for you. They'll call you a Nazi, but to your face before you even say hi to them, and it's just that I don't know. I went on this tangent there, but it's just like I can support trans people within reason.
Yeah.
We shouldn't be transing kids because we kids can't consent to those kind of things. Like that's common
Boom.
sense. And the thing is, I know I work in a yoga studio. I'm a Pilates instructor. Um, all of these old school Democrats I work with because they're all hippy dippy. But even they're like the Democrats are insane. Democrats
Mm-hmm.
are insane right now. There's no voice of reason in there, especially with the trans stuff. They're like the Z's are what the fuck? Yeah, they're like I don't understand what you're talking about. And excuse me, I curse like a sailor too, so
I do.
my
It's
bad.
fine.
Great.
No, 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 no. You're. I actually, when we did the show the other night, I was like, you know what? I'm going to test something. So I put it out on Instagram Live and Facebook Live. And I was like, we'll see how long it gets before because we were on StreamYard doing that live, and I was like, let's see how long it takes before the Facebook or the Instagram symbol has an X by it. And we made it through 2.5 hours of me saying faggot, of us throwing tranny around, and like we never got taken down.
Good.
So like this one, I'll probably try TikTok live for the first time just to see how it goes. I'm sure it'll be 5 minutes before it goes bye-bye. But it's one of those things where like cursing does not matter. We say some of the most foul, horrid shit on our shows. Like there was a few times where I thought even Rumble was going to be like, you can't say that. Because we were talking about like the Israel situation, and I said something about, boy, it would be nice to never have to pay for glass again. And like
that's wild.
I thought for sure we were going to get taken down for calling for violence, but don't ever worry about that. This is 100% free speech.
It's a safe space.
Yeah, it's a safe space. Hold on, let me grab my little stuffy, my stuffed capybara. He sits back on top of my sign. But it's I don't censor speech. I don't hate it. Like
good.
I despise anyone that likes to censor, regardless of whether it's on either side. Like we started to see the right-wing cancel culture become a thing, and like libs of TikTok, and like I love the exposing, but when you're like, here's their employer, do this, like if they work for a private company, let's not. If they work for the government or they're a staffer in the government, by all means, fair game, ready, aim, fire, get them out of their job. But the 40-year-old lady at Home Depot that said something really fucked up on camera, let's not do what the left does,
right,
and try to get them to lose their job and ruin their livelihood.
Well, that's right-wing hypocrisy right there. I mean, that's
we just spent 10 years fighting against it.
Right. It's there. I mean, we still have the thing is that I love the most between the Republican Party and the Democratic Party is that the Democrats will literally just kowtow to the loudest voices, and the Republicans are like, "Whoa, there, buddy. Maybe you're going, maybe you're being a little weird over there,
going a little too far."
Yeah, just a little bit. You sound a little. Like Q, I don't think everybody was like all in on Q on the right. I don't think so. No. As much as my parents were, I was like, you guys are a little nuts. Chill out a little bit. We don't even know who these people are. So, I mean, if there's one thing, and the Democrats love to say, we hold ourselves accountable. I think the Republicans
Since when?
Literally, I know. I think the Republicans actually do a pretty good job of gatekeeping bad actors.
Oh, yeah, they absolutely do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been one of my major criticisms of the Trump administration is like he's trying to oust Thomas Massie, but he's full-throatedly endorsing the closet case cocksucker Lindsey Graham.
Right.
Like, what are you doing? This isn't what I voted for.
Yeah, see,
I want Lindsey Graham gone.
Yeah, Lindsey Graham needs to leave. Thomas Massie is one of the few good guys that are left in Congress. And I mean, like, I disagreed with Thomas Massie when it came to his choice to vote how he did when it came to the CR. But, like, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It was a win-win situation for us. You did not need to blast him on social media like that.
Right.
You did not need to do that. You did not need to say he needed to be primaried.
Yeah, and that's one of Trump's, I think, his downsides. And it always has been, is he loves to talk.
Yeah.
You know, and he likes to try to bully his way into getting the votes that he needs. And personally, if I was in Congress, it would have been a no vote for me on the CR too.
Yeah.
Because I've been screaming from the rooftops about the debt for fucking ever. Like I grew up following guys like Ron Paul, Rand, Milton Friedman. I've read a lot of his stuff. I've read some of Rothbard's stuff. So I'm very libertarian when it comes to economics.
Me too.
Minus the free trade thing. I still don't like that. But for me, going after somebody for one vote that you don't like, when every other time he's been a no vote on shit like this, you've been like, keep it going. Yeah, great job.
Yeah.
Like, even Apple knows what I'm talking about. Like the MAGA party was just all over it. We love it.
Yeah,
No, you love it until it fucks with your
right.
agenda. And even if it hadn't passed, guess what? Government shut down. That's free reign for Doge, baby.
Free
Let
reign
him
for Doge.
go.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I don't. Yeah. I mean, we could talk about this here all day. Yeah, Trump still just doesn't know when to shut his mouth. But at the same time, I mean, he wouldn't be Trump without that.
yeah,
And at the same time, I
yeah.
think when the media ran with it before, it was really a good PR move for them. But I think people are so dissuaded by mainstream media now that they could run these stories all day and nobody really cares anymore because they know that it was such a nothing burger half the time.
Oh
Now,
yeah, I mean,
now,
CNN has more employees than they do viewers now. Like,
yeah,
everybody's falling to pieces. Comcast is ready to ditch MSNBC. Like,
yep,
all of these democratic, or I don't even want to say democratic, but all of these establishment cornerstones are just falling to pieces.
right.
And that changed a lot with this election specifically.
Well, when you start when I mean the media has always had an agenda, of course.
Mhm.
But when it starts being so blatantly obvious, what do you think people are going to turn towards when they catch you in the act, you know?
Independent media.
When the independents start seeing you for what you are, yeah, they're going to go to independent media. So,
Yeah.
it's people are we're so upset about Joe Rogan, and it's like Joe Rogan's not even a political commentator half the time. He's mostly
Right.
just there smoking weed and just talking about anything in the sky. And you guys are
Yeah.
pissed off about him. And that's going to embolden independents because they're like, why are you so mad at this dude who's literally just
Yeah.
high on his show, just talking?
Yeah.
They don't know damage control anymore. And like Democrats used to be so good at framing. They used to be so good at messaging. And I don't. It's literally just been within the last like 4 years. I don't know what happened. Their whole PR campaigns, all of them have exploded. They're imploded. They're gone.
It's almost like DEI doesn't work.
I think it really started going downhill when they hired that one dude in the White House when he made those videos with the long nails. Do you remember that? Yeah, yeah. I'm like, yep, this is the gay representation I wanted. This is the
Yeah.
representation I needed to survive.
Right. Like, this is what I needed. No, it's that concept of like, they're, for me, it always felt like they were grooming for the next generation of voters. Like, they had realized, okay, Gen Z is kind of a lost cause because they're going to be fucked. So let's start marketing towards the younger demographic, which is
Yeah,
kind of indicative of the rest of the pedophilic tendencies that the left has. But pushing that aside,
real.
you know, they're so focused on this clip worthy society that, because it worked for Trump in 2016 and his popularity, they are dead set that his popularity is what got him elected. They've completely pivoted to this idea that everything's a popularity contest. So if it gets, 10 million views on TikTok, well, guess what? That means that's 10 million votes. No, it doesn't.
I mean, the
It
follower
doesn't.
count between him and Biden and Harris should have been telling enough.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, it's not just popularity. And even if it was just popularity, look at what voters have been screaming about: the economy, immigration, swing states. One of their main priorities was men and women's sports or men and women's spaces. And you guys couldn't even answer for any of them. And it's like, you want to talk about popularity, talk about what the issues are, because that's what's popular right now. People are drowning in debt. Credit card debt was at all-time highs. People are paying so much on their mortgages. Like
Yeah.
our generation, we're like, can we afford a house? Probably not. Probably not within our
No.
lifetime. So,
No.
especially not in this state.
No. Well, no, not in California.
No.
But it's the funny thing is, those, on like the issue of like men and women's sports or trans issues in general, the Democratic Party likes to do this kind of dance
Mhm.
across the line where it's, when they're in power and they have the control, it's the biggest thing that you can focus on. It's so important. And then after the Trump ad, the Kamala's for they them, Trump is for you, it was
Mhm.
devastating. But they looked at it and they're like, people don't care about this. It's like 1 or 2% of the population. Like, that wasn't a losing issue for us. What?
Well, you
That
also
ad moved things 6 points to the right.
well, you
People
also
do
saw
care about this shit. Your
once they
donors
saw
don't.
how well that ad was doing, the amount of politicians, AOC included, removing their pronouns from their bios.
Yep.
Like, talk about predatory.
Right. It's telling.
Yeah.
Like, and again, it comes back to the donors, because if you go and you look at their donors, it's a lot of teachers unions, it's a
Hmm.
lot of massive medical companies,
Oh yeah.
pharmaceutical companies that are investing in it. Well, so why is it such a big issue? Oh, right, because your donors are going to make a fuckload of money off of sterilizing and mutilating people,
Yep.
and that'll keep you in office, right? No, not so much.
And that's where the
People
Democrats lost
woke
face
up.
with their own voters because they're like, the voters are like, we hate the rich, eat the rich, but we're going to kowtow to the insurance industry, the pharmaceutical industry. We're going to kowtow just anything that's not big military. They're like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
yes.
yeah. Well, it's just, even then, like the big defense contractors, I think people woke up to that too with this
Hmm.
whole situation in Ukraine.
Yep.
It's like, oh, so now you want to go to war all the time? Like,
Yeah. Literally, yeah.
they'll,
The left is now the neocons, and I'm like, and growing up, it was always funny to hear about how the pendulum swings, but to actually see it happen in real time in your lifetime
it's
is
wild.
so nuts. It's so
Yeah.
nuts to watch it happen. Like, it's so surreal seeing it actually happen. Just within one, like, it feels like just one election cycle, everything just
Right.
flipped.
No, well, now, how old are you?
28.
28. Okay. So you're on the same page as me then. So I just turned 30 in February.
Oh,
And
happy birthday.
so it's been crazy for me because, I was watching it was the Bush Kerry was the first time I ever really like looked at an election,
Hmm.
and I was into like fifth grade. But then I got to watch the Obama McCain, and then Obama Romney, and it was like, oh, okay, like it's two people with different views, but the same kind of goal in mind.
Right,
Like it
right.
was very boring. And then Trump comes along, and then you start to see, like, as that after his first term, wow, okay, things are way better now than they were under the last 8 years of Obama.
Hmm.
And then from there, it just like hit warp speed, where it was like, okay, shit, we're losing power, go as far to the left as we can. And now you're seeing that pendulum swing the whole way back, and it's like, wow, I really hope we end at the era of like the Obama Romney. I want politics to be boring again.
Yeah,
I
politics
want it.
should be boring.
Yeah, it
The
should be.
the federal government should not, the federal election should not weigh so much on us as it does today. It really
Yeah, no.
shouldn't. They should not have as much overreach into our lives. To the point that we get so stressed out that people are literally crying in the streets because a Republican won.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Mm-mm.
I mean that's part of the whole idea that the federal government itself is way too big.
Hmm.
Like if you shrink the federal government down to what it's supposed to be, so small you can't even see it, and you focus on your individual states,
Yep.
life would be so much better.
So smooth. So smooth.
But
And
no,
like, and the thing is, you have that, like, with an all abiding federal government, it doesn't matter where you move to, you're going to be under those impunitive laws. Why don't we just have it so that you can move to another state if you really hate it? Like, and I mean, we still have that, but what the Democrats are asking for is basically a step away from federalism towards unitarianism. And
yeah,
like, what are you, like, centralization? That's
it's a
anyways.
terrible idea.
Yeah, it's terrible. But the thing is, if a Republican came into power under a centralized government, they would be so pissed. They'd be so
Oh yeah.
pissed. And it's like, well, what do you think you were asking for? And that's what Trump's doing right now. He's like, I'm just taking advantage of all the centralized powers you gave me, the Democrats gave me, and you guys don't like it now because I'm in power. And this is what I've warned a lot of my Democrat friends growing up. I was like, you're literally arguing for centralization. What happens when a Democrat or a Republican who's totally against your beliefs comes in and uses all of those policies? They're like, well, they don't have an answer. Or they just
Well,
think
no,
that
of course not.
they're so deluded they think a Republican can never win.
Well, the thing that I think that's really getting them is that Trump is utilizing this massive bureaucracy that they gave him, and he's just doing whatever he wants. He's doing whatever he has to fulfill his campaign promises. But when all is said and done and Trump is gone, those things will no longer be in place
Hmm.
for the next Democrat, whoever it may be, whenever it may be,
Yep.
to come into power and utilize. Because he's like, well, I'm using it while I can, and then lighting it on fire and pissing it out. Like, sorry about your luck.
As it should be. And
Maybe
I
it'll
think
teach you a
also,
lesson.
I mean, like, I think what's really also hurting them a lot is the fact that I think everybody um, can't stand government corruption, regardless of how progressive they say that they are. The whole Mozambique circumcision stuff, like, come on. What was it? Gay musicals in Ireland. Ireland boasting, I
Mm-hmm.
think, the highest GDP per capita. We need to be paying for their gay musicals.
Mm-hmm. The
I think people,
transgender surgeries in Guatemala.
literally. I think the media pushing back on this so much has really also caused a huge dip for the left too, because it's like these people are like, what's the problem? And the polls show that over half of Americans think that we need to get rid of all of these programs, all of these contracts. I think it was what, like 52% or something, fifty six
Well,
percent.
right. It's it's mind blowing, and it's funny. It's just so funny to watch people think that it's so weird to watch people sit here and think about how we got here, because one side is like, well, we were lazy for too long and we were complacent. That was the Republican Party. And then
Hmm.
the left is like, I don't know what we did wrong.
Yeah,
We gave chicks dicks. Like, what more do you want from us? Like, I don't know, maybe
and even
policies that
then,
don't
it's like,
fuck us over.
yeah, it's even like, it's not like, what did we do wrong? It was like, well, Trump is the problem. It's these Republicans that are the problem. It's MAGA that's an issue. And it's like, well, clearly the majority of American voters don't think so. So,
77 million Americans seem to think.
yeah. What, isn't it like 60, 70% of Americans think that we need to remove every illegal alien, regardless of if they have a history or not? Like, these
Well,
are
they all have a
popular.
criminal history.
Well, yeah, technically they do, but how they frame the question. It's just like, these are winning policies that Trump pushed on, and it's so demented to think that you can't wrap your mind around why he won, aside from
Right.
racism, xenophobia, bigotry, homophobia, transphobia. Like, God
Let's
forbid, God forbid.
let's just remind people of
Yeah,
what this election was. That's what this election was. This
10
was 70.
counties,
Yeah,
10
this
counties in
was
California.
77 million.
Yeah,
77 million people right here. All of these little tiny itty bitty blue pockets were the other 75 million. Justice was done across
yep.
this country.
10 counties in
Like,
California flipped red, and I never thought I would see that happen. I never thought my county would flip back to red ever. And
well, and it's interesting. It was interesting to see it happening down here, this close to like the coast, because
mhm,
it's that's indicative of major change. I mean, granted, the northern part of California, and a large swath of it has always had some red to it, but it
mhm.
was never this red.
Well, Central Valley, I mean, Central Valley was turning blue starting in '08, and I was like, damn, we're the agricultural center of this country. And
Mm-hmm.
we're swinging to the left. That doesn't make any sense to me after all that Newsom's done, after all that the Democrats hate big ag. And so,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, like, I get it. I understand the whole animal cruelty stuff, and I understand the pesticides and all that jazz. But we literally are feeding this country and hella other countries through your international aid program. So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
why are our farmers in the Central Valley swinging so hard? So this last election gave me a lot of hope, especially now understanding that the majority of Hispanic Americans, I think, in California voted Trump this time, because I think they're
Mm-hmm.
done with the bullshit. I mean, even the Democratic figurehead, Cesar Chavez, who was
Yeah.
big for farmers in the central of California, they love him. so much, but he was terrible to illegal immigrant farm laborers. He literally had
Mhm.
his goon squad go and like beat them up because he knew that they undercut wages.
Yeah,
And it's like, you guys literally, your figureheads disagree with you.
quite literally. And it's, I mean, it's simple to say that, in my mind at least, this was a one issue election, and it was immigration. And the reason I say that is I have so every year I do a haunted house. I'm part of a haunted house. I've been doing it since I was 13, and one of one of my buddies, I've known him for, God, well, at least since 2013. His wife is a Peruvian immigrant, and she had been here for, I think it was 32 years or something, and still wasn't a citizen yet, because the process was just insane. She had to go to New York City anytime she needed to renew paperwork, whatever. Like, she paid thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. Like, she was here illegally for a couple of years because she couldn't afford the massive fees. Well,
Mm-hmm.
she finally got her paperwork back in line, and after 30 some years, finally became a citizen. Like, she got her citizenship. She's naturalized now. It's great. And she unfortunately missed the voter registration deadline by a week because of her paperwork. And I asked her, I'm like, so just out of curiosity, who would you have voted for? No hesitation, Trump.
Trump.
I'm like, well,
You
why?
ask
She's like, because I
any,
spent 30 years of my life fighting tooth and nail and spending thousands of dollars to be able to come here and stay here and live my life, just to watch millions of people just waltz over the border and be given everything. Where's my fucking $8,000
right,
prepaid credit card? Where's
right.
my free phone? Where's my hotel room? Fuck that. I was homeless. I was here illegally with my kids, fearing every single day that I was going to wake up in handcuffs and get chucked the fuck out. She's like, these people don't have to worry about that. Why? And I hear that same story from immigrants all over the country. They lost big time on this.
Yeah. Well, my family, any immigrant who had to go through the process the normal way knows. My family did that. My grandfather, I think, actually, we don't really know much about my grandfather's side, my dad's side, because they don't talk about it. But like, my family had to do it the right way too. And I don't
Mm-hmm.
think it took 30 something odd years, but we had to pay the fees, we had to go to the courts, we had to do all the things to become
Yeah.
citizens. And it's like, first of all, half these leftists would hate and vilify anyone who cuts them in a line in Disneyland. What the hell are you doing over here?
Yeah.
What the hell are you doing over here?
It doesn't make any sense to me. Like, how can you expect, especially the Latino vote, how do you expect them to vote for you when you're pushing an immigration policy that is completely antithetical to how they became citizens?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yep. And most
what?
Asian Americans, Chinese Americans, hell yeah,
Yeah.
South Korean Americans, Japanese Americans, a lot of people had to come over here, especially from Asia. They were not going down through the through the border.
Yeah.
At least not as much. Like, if you go, one of the most Republican neighborhoods I think in this state is Chinatown in San Francisco. Because
Really?
if you ever just walk down Chinatown, first of all, it's the cleanest neighborhood in San Francisco. They do not pull any of that homeless bullshit. If anyone's sleeping in front of them, they take a broom and kick them out. But you go and
Well,
talk
I
to
don't know
all the
why in my head I'm just seeing this little, like, this is gonna go to a racist moment here. I just see this little Asian grandma with a broom, just, you go, get out now.
it.
No,
Listen,
go
I'm
find
not gonna
somewhere
say I
else to
haven't seen
see.
it. I'm not gonna say I haven't seen it. But like,
Like,
you go down Chinatown and you talk to these storefront owners because they're all small
yeah.
business owners. You go talk to them and they talk
Mm-hmm.
about the neglect that they've experienced from the San Francisco government, the state government. They their journey of becoming American citizens, or their family's journey to becoming American citizens, all that stuff, having to go through racism in early San Francisco, forming their own
Mm-hmm.
little local government within that neighborhood themselves because they no one would take them up when it came to legal issues and stuff like that. If there's any people that are more Republican, it's the Chinese Americans because they know what they came from and they know what their own family back home is experiencing and they know the journey they had to get to where they are now.
Well, that's like Lily Tang Williams,
Hmm.
for
Hmm.
example.
Yep.
Like she is fantastic. Who's the other one? Is it G Van Fleet or something like that? There's two of them, but Lily Tang Williams is very open. She's like, I escaped Mao's communism
Yep.
to come here, and I'm watching it happen in front of us.
We have so many Cuban Americans who escaped Cuba that are now politicians talking about the dangers of communism. And
Yeah,
leftists just don't want to hear it. And it's like, where's their representation? You don't even want to talk about the Cuban immigrants. You don't want to talk about the Chinese or the Venezuelan or the Vietnamese immigrants. Like, you don't want to hear their story because it's inconvenient for
no,
you and your policy
yeah.
goals. Yeah. You don't want to look at all of history. You don't want to look at North Korea. You don't.
Well,
It's
and it
that's
was
not
funny
real
to
communism.
watch. It was so funny to watch because the Democrats came out and they're like, "Oh, well, black and Latino men failed us. Latino people failed us this election. Black men failed us because of misogyny." And it's like, hold on, wait a minute. You mean to tell me that as your party swung left away from traditional values and swung into this massive LGBT plus bullshit, allowing women into men or men into women's sports, all of these things that are completely the opposite of traditional values, and you're blaming the black community and the Latin communities not for not voting for you? Well, let's
It's
break it down.
Latinx. It's
Uh,
Latinx.
it's I've look, I've never in all of my years, maybe one or two meetings, have I ever heard somebody use the term Latinx. Okay, you can. I'm serious. We've had like four of them. Now you can go look at my profiles. I've never fucking used the term once in my life, but I can't say the same for Newsom. But you're looking at these people that let's break it down. Most Latin communities, especially from whether it's Mexico, whether it's Central America, or whether it's parts of South America, what is the predominant religion there? Well, Catholicism. Very traditional values. You look at the black community, very traditional values, just regardless of how bad the family system has kind of been fucked up, I think, thanks in large part to our own government. But it's very traditional, it's very conservative. How are you surprised that the further away you moved from any sort of normal traditional values, that these people went, no?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
How does that surprise you?
when you have Jeffree Star talking about the whole trans issues, saying like the non-binary stuff, like what the hell is that? When you have someone that looks like him saying the Democrats are out of touch, I mean, it's pretty telling. You
Yeah.
can't really look at anyone and assume what they believe anymore, and that's
No.
largely because of the failings of the Democratic Party and their messaging. 100%.
Yeah. They can't even unite their own people.
No,
Like,
but their own people. Yeah, they can't. All the people left. They're like, no. Oh, hold on. Sorry, I might have longer to talk. Yeah, I have longer to talk. Sorry about that.
oh, all good.
Um, no, yeah,
Did you end up
but yeah,
did
no.
you end up having to work today?
This is literally my one day off, and it wasn't gonna be a day off. It wasn't gonna be, but I finally had it covered because I work too much.
Yeah.
I work too much. I work like 50 hours a week.
Jesus.
Yeah.
And that's just doing classes?
Well, 18 hours of that is classes, but that's per diem. So I'm not getting benefits or anything for anything over
Oh
40,
wow.
unfortunately. But
Oof.
but I mean, as much as I can complain, I love it. So it's not a problem.
Well, and how much time a week do you spend on social media? Because obviously, you've got to be consistent with TikTok.
Yeah,
Um,
I should be more consistent. Right now, everybody's account seems to be restricted. That's conservative. So
really?
if you didn't hear about that, I would go onto the older millennials page and you can look into that. He has a post talking about, hey, you should do your account check. I have a video on it. If you go onto my page and literally I did the account check. All of my things have green checks, and when it's done, it says account restricted, it says one violation. When I click on it, it won't load anything. It won't even show me what the violation is. There wasn't a violation in the check, but there's one afterwards, and it won't even tell me what it is. And so
It's so
I don't
interesting though. Like I'm looking at your page right now from computer, and I'm looking just at view counts, and I can kind of see
extremely
where they
low,
dropped off. Like yeah,
extremely
like
low.
you were getting like
A
there's one
few thousand every
19,000.
once in a while, and I know that I drop off every once in a while because honestly, half of the time it's luck. It really is. Um,
Yeah.
like posting at the right time. I don't know any of that stuff. But like I usually can get like a couple thousand or 1,000 here or there, like once a week. And lately it's just been what, like I think my highest one lately was like 800 views. And I'm like, that's crazy. So me putting in my energy right now into TikTok has kind of been lacking because I'm just like, well, it's not really getting the reach I want it to. Um, but
Dude,
not
I'll be
only
honest,
that,
I think you'll have a lot of luck on X.
yeah, I mean, like I feel like I should go to X, but
Yeah.
I'm so I've never used Twitter or X before last year. And so
Well, they're
like,
very video focused now. Like they have a
oh, they
dedicated
are.
video tab now. So
Okay.
anything that you're recording for TikTok, like post it on X. Like
Okay. I'll do that.
it's I can tell you that I think the quote unquote homocon movement really exploded on X.
Yeah.
Like
Oh, definitely. From what I've seen. Yeah.
yeah.
Um,
And you're good looking. So naturally all it's gonna take is like one or two thirst traps and then some video content behind it. You'll take off
I'm
instantly.
weak. Okay. I'll post some thirst traps. I'll post all my TikToks on there. But yeah, no, TikTok's just been acting funky lately. With everybody that's conservative. I know people who only have like 2,000 followers and they're like, yeah, my account's restricted for what? I haven't had any warnings. I haven't had any flags, anything like that. And I've only had one flag, and I got it removed because they caught me on like promoting guns, even though I literally just clipped something from ABC News, which was their TikTok video. And so I was like, they took it down, and I hate when they do that because then you can't earn any money.
Right.
And it's taken off the For You page. And so then I got it reversed, but like damage is already done, you know? Um, but that's the only flag I've ever gotten aside from calling someone stupid. But nothing like
I got a
ban
comment
worthy.
removed recently because I asked Harry Sisson. I commented on one of his videos and I was like, yo, serious question. Do you have any top teeth or are you just gumming it up there? And they took that down. I was like, bro, what the fuck
Listen,
can I say on here?
it's the weirdest thing because I usually call people babe on there, and I do call people that like being coy, but I also just it's just like whatever. And
Right.
I misspelled babe one time. I put BAVE, like Victor E,
Oh,
and
God.
that got removed. So I did it again, the same comment, but spelled babe correctly, and it was fine. So TikTok's just, I don't know, I don't know. It's a weird algorithm they got over there. And clearly they don't like conservatives because I haven't heard anything about account restrictions for liberal creators. So
No, of course not. I mean, you have
of
people out
course
there
not.
simulating assassinating Trump and their videos get left up.
But see, this is where I
Like,
think it's funny because a lot of people on the right and the left were talking about how Meta must have bought out TikTok. But Meta has gone through a little red pill moment. And so clearly I don't think that happened.
no.
Clearly not, if this is what's happening to us. So, but
I'm
TikTok
seeing Rumble ads on Facebook now, and that you would never see that. Like I'm seeing
never,
ads for
ever
Rumble for fucking like in my I hate to say it, but my Reels page, I have a dark sense of humor. So like my Reels page is literally like racism, 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 homophobic, misogyny, racism,
listen,
racism.
listen.
Like
The amount of 9/11 reels I get.
yes, yes, and you know as terrible as it is, I laugh my ass off at them.
Yes, yes.
Facebook just lets a lot go. Even
Which they
threads,
should have been
like
doing the whole time. Which they should have been doing the whole time.
they should have been. But you've got the
Yeah.
Biden administration and their little blue haired or bald headed fucking wackos that are like, you're going to take this down right now. or we're going
Yeah.
to Biden auto pen an order shutting you down. It's like, okay,
Yeah,
why not?
it's crazy. And the thing is, like, that came out, and you didn't hear anybody talk about it ever again. You didn't hear anybody talk about the actual government censorship that was like actually targeting these social media companies.
Well, and
Like
then
it was
Meta
like an
cracked down after the fact.
yeah,
Once they had their red pill moment, they were like, okay, if you leak anything, you're fired. Because they knew
literally,
that somebody on the left was going to be like, they just disabled these content filters.
literally all that needed to be happen was that Zuckerberg needed to meet Joe Rogan and then start boxing or MMA fighting. That's all that needed to happen for
Yeah.
him to swing. And I'm so glad that it happened. And he actually looks way better for it.
Yes, the Mark Zuckerberg glow up needs to be studied
Glow up,
because
literally.
he went from like an alien to like this guy probably looks like he'd be fun to smoke pot with.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
No, for sure. I remember all my gay friends, all my gay chats are like, what the fuck happened to him? And they were
yeah,
all like
like
all gagging over him, just drooling over him. And I was like, you guys are fucking weird. Like he's still the same
it's
person. He
like
just in a different suit.
yeah, yeah. He just yeah, I was gonna say the hardware got an upgrade. Like,
Yeah.
and he's not a bad looking guy now.
He not
Now,
now. Not
not
now.
now. Before it was like, remember all the reptilian jokes? Like
Yeah.
that's a reptile in a skin suit,
Literally was just the eyes like this when he was in like
bulging.
depositions and stuff. I'm like,
Yeah,
dude, can you like at least show some emotion so I know that you're alive?
like bro, your inner frog is showing. Calm down.
Your inner frog. Yeah, literally.
Like, but it is
Oh,
it's interesting because I don't think a lot of these people, Zuckerberg included, I don't think a lot of their views changed. People want to push that narrative of like, oh, well, because Trump's in, they're doing all this. And it's like, no, it's not because Trump's in that they're doing it. It's because Trump's in, they're free to do it again. And
yeah.
they can do it. Like Joe Rogan's a perfect example too. During COVID, everybody tried to get him canceled, tried to get him taken off of Spotify, and like just all of these crazy things. Nothing about Joe Rogan has changed.
Mm-mm.
It's just the narrative around it
Well, I think
is
also,
what's
like,
changed.
I mean, Joe Rogan, he was a huge supporter of who was the Asian guy that ran in 2016? Andrew Yang.
Yeah, and he was a
He
big
support
Bernie guy too.
he was a Bernie guy. He supported Andrew Yang, but you guys just went so far off the cliff that his center left became center right.
Yeah, yeah. The Overton window shifted.
Yeah,
That's what happened. I
yeah.
mean, and you look at you have Kennedy, you have Tulsi Gabbard that are
Donald Trump
now
himself. Donald
yeah
Trump himself. All these former
yeah
Democrats or current Democrats, like Elon Musk used to be a huge supporter of a universal wage. I mean, he might still be. I don't know.
he still
But
is.
yeah, I
But
would assume
he
so.
looks at it from a very different perspective though too. It's not okay, we're just going to give you money. He's looking at it as, well, eventually technology is going to get to a point where it's going to be very little human intervention in basic jobs.
Right.
But you're still going to have consumerism. And how do you make money with consumerism? Simple. You pay people for their personal data. The stuff that Facebook and Google and all these companies are already doing when they're taking your data and selling it to providers. That's a great way to start up a universal basic income. Make it so that any data that they sell, you have to get a portion of it.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, either way though, I just taking it back, I think it's just pretty telling that if I think he's probably the only Republican now that's really still pushing for that. But I mean, even
he
then,
is.
but just back then, he was a leftist. Republicans didn't even like him when he first started Tesla. No one liked him
No.
because they thought he was a green agenda guy, all this stuff. And it's like you guys, again, Overton window shift. You guys pushed everybody center left to the right because you guys
Yeah.
just shifted the perspective. And it's like if you lost people from your own party, you already lost the independence. You already lost all the
Well, and
independence.
you lost the independence and now you're starting to lose your moderate Democrats. Like
Yeah.
at some point, Sean referred to it the other night as a circular firing squad. And eventually somebody's going to be like, okay, this is a bad idea. And they're going to back away. And it's just going to continue to happen because you're either going to alienate your own base or you're just going to die off.
Right.
Like, and I think we're headed that way because if Democrats can't get it together and find a solid leader in the next 6 to 8 months, the midterms are fucked. They're going to lose more. And then 2028 rolls around. We already know, regardless of what Trump says, JD Vance is going to be the guy.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean,
who are you going to put against JD Vance?
Well, I mean, like at the end of the day, it's going to look really stupid if we're like pushing for this admin and we're going to be like, no, we're not going to push for a continuation of this admin. Right. So it's like, it's a no-brainer for JD Vance. If anyone even runs against him, they're going to lose. They're going to, unless JD Vance does something incredibly stupid, which could happen. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time.
We kind of saw a little bit of that with the Signal controversy. Like everybody's kind of criticizing
Yeah. But I mean, like, okay, criticize that, but let's talk about Hillary Clinton's emails again. Like, come on, you guys. And I mean, even Axios, well, no, it was The Atlantic that was criticizing it. But like, what, wasn't it 4 years before they did an article about how Signal is the premier in encryption chat rooms and how Democrats still on the Hill use it for communication? Yep. Like, but The Atlantic also tried to spin the whole Kamala Harris border czar stuff too. So, you know.
Well, and it's crazy to me because the Democrats, their first response to this was, well, it's illegal to talk about classified information on Signal. And then ODNI comes out and is like, none of that information was classified.
Was confidential.
Well, how is none of this classified? Because I said it wasn't classified. Like, there's a whole system that these things go through to determine whether or not they're classified. I'm telling you, you're not classified. Well, it's just because you work for Trump. Oh, so you're telling me that the merits of the administration, the foundations of our system and our democracy suddenly don't work because it's a new president?
It sounds like that's a really flawed democracy, if that's the case, a flawed system. Yeah, but I mean, like, even then, who was it that came out? I think he was a Japanese representative. I can't remember his last name. He was either from California or Hawaii. I can't remember, but he came out and he was talking about how there's classified information. Our enemies could have found out who we were targeting, and it's like there was no names, there was no locations, there was no targets in that Signal chat.
Just the type of material being moved in the Times.
Yeah, just that's it. No one would be able to tell what was being targeted and when and where, or who was involved aside from the people that were in the chat room. So it's like, chill. But the thing is, the media's going to eat it up. The followers are going to eat it up. They're only going to read the headlines, and that's it.
Well, and nobody seems to be criticizing Mr. Goldberg for staying in the chat and reading it when we know that if this had happened under the Biden administration...
As soon as he knew, he should have taken himself out. But did he?
Yeah.
No, he didn't.
And notified the administration. No, but he didn't, because he looked at it and went, ooh, no, this is going to be a good hit piece.
Yeah. But they're going to...
And I mean, I'm for firing Mike Waltz. I think he should be fired, not just for the fact that he was the one that added him, but because we got a lot of dishonesty after. Like, the Trump administration came out and said, well, it may have been a staffer. And then he goes on camera and is like, well, it wasn't a staffer. Maybe it was somebody, maybe I had the wrong name your wrong number under the wrong name. Or it's like, dude, you're the national security advisor. You can't get your fucking iPhone contacts right.
Yep.
Like, what are we doing here? Yeah. So, I mean, if anybody needs to go, it's probably Mike Waltz.
Yeah. And that's fine for optics sake. Yeah, why not? But also there's also the reverse side optics wise, because it admits that you did something stupid, and I don't think the Trump administration wants to do that.
And that's another flaw in Donald Trump, is that he never wants to be wrong. And I look, I get it, but
you got it.
Not
the
way to run.
Sometimes you got to take the piss.
Yeah.
You just have to.
You just sometimes you have to, and that's part of the reason that I think the Democrats have failed so much, is because they've made so many missteps and fuck ups, and they wouldn't own them. So if you really want to change things, give us the transparency you promised, and say, hey, look, this was a mistake. Mike's no longer on the team. He's fired. Same thing with the whole Pam Bondi Epstein files thing. Like, give us some kind of transparency on it. Mm-hmm. Like, the border patrol numbers or the ICE numbers that were being posted every day have all of a sudden stopped being posted every day.
Yep.
Well, no, let's continue that. Like, give us the transparency you asked for, or that you promised us, that we asked for, and we'll be fine.
You brought up Pam Bondi. How do you feel about her?
I'm disappointed,
Yeah,
if I'm being
yeah,
completely honest.
I am too.
She spent more time on Fox News than she has doing any real work.
Well, I
And
mean, even the Tesla stuff, there's only been, what, 3 arrests?
yeah, I mean, some of that I blame on local law enforcement, because even at those levels, you're kind of reliant on local PDs, and there's their own little political rings inside
That's
those.
true. Yeah.
Um, on that front, I would also say that I'm a little disappointed in Cash Patel so far, just because what's he doing?
Hmm.
I don't know what he's doing.
Yeah.
He made all these grandiose promises, but what is he actually like? None of this is coming out. We're not being told any of this. We've seen more from Deputy Director Bongino than we have Cash Patel.
Yeah.
So what's going on? Like, we're not getting that. So, and I have a lot of criticism through some of Trump's appointees. Like, we didn't hear much from Kennedy right away.
Yeah.
And you would think, like, first couple of weeks on the job, you'd want people to know that, hey, I'm actually working.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to tell us everything, but just be like, hey, here's what's on the secretary's agenda for this week, and give us a
Right.
fucking white paper that says,
Right.
here's what he's going to tackle, and then every week update that white paper.
Hmm.
And then once people see that you're moving, then just move along with your agenda and post periodic updates. But if you
Yep.
can't give us the transparency you promised, that's going to disenfranchise a lot of those centrist voters
Hmm.
that move to the right, because they're going to look at it and go, well, this is no fucking different than the last administration.
Right. Right.
Like, same thing with the Ukraine minerals deal. It's just been so back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and we're not
Well,
getting any actual updates.
well, it sounds like Zelensky isn't going to go through with it. So,
Well, and I don't think he should.
yeah. I mean,
I
at the end
think
of the day,
that's
I, you know, if we're gonna create a sovereign wealth fund with Ukraine, I think that would be incentive, but I understand wanting actual firm defense contracts there.
I don't think he wants any of it.
I don't
You
think
want me
he
to be
does.
honest? You,
Yeah,
you want me
because
to be honest with you?
I think even if we offered that, he wouldn't take it.
Well, not even that, but I don't even think from our administration side that I don't think it's something they want, because the document that they sent to Ukraine to be reviewed is like, I don't know, 15 or 20 pages.
Mm,
And with everything that minerals deal would entail, this was something we talked about the other night. Like, that would be 90,000 pages just to get this deal right, because it has to go through
yeah,
Ukraine's parliament. And then there's already private ownership rights over some of those mineral deposits. And how are we going to handle that? Like, I think it was, as Sean called it, a shit test of like, we're going to give you a list of demands and a pile of shit. And if you say no to that, it tells us, okay, you're not really willing to work out a deal. We're
right,
normalizing relations with Russia. Either make a deal or we're out.
yeah.
And is that really a way to end the war? No, but if we walk away and Russia just steamrolls them,
Steamrolls.
well, war's over.
Well, I
Like,
mean, at that point, UK and France, I guess, will have boots on the ground because that's what they want,
let them,
anyways. And I mean,
let
that's what
them.
we've been asking for, anyways. The EU needs to step up.
Well, and I am one of the people that I guess I'm a Russian talking head,
The
because
same, apparently.
all of this, all of this shit with Russia is the fault of the West. Russia has tried over and over and over again to normalize relations with the West. They've been shunned and pushed away every single time.
Well, I mean, I know that Gorbachev came out later and said that there was no, we did not talk about NATO expansionism, but all of the records show otherwise. The president of France
Mm-hmm.
at the time promised that there would be no NATO expansionism. We said multiple times there'd be no NATO expansionism, and what did we do? We expanded NATO. We
Very
also,
quietly.
we very quietly, we also went against the Intercontinental Ballistics Agreement, and we put ballistic missiles in Poland.
Yep.
So right on their border, and it's just like, wow, if Russia did that, put ballistic missiles in Mexico or Canada, we would not even be having it. We would not
Well,
have
they tried. Remember that
it.
was under Kennedy. That was Bay of
Yep,
Pigs.
with
That
Cuba.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, they tried it with
So
Cuba. So like,
exactly.
why do you think that after all this time of beating down Russia and like, I mean, I hate to say it, it's coming from a place of personal experience with Russia. The Soviet Union tried to rapidly expand across Europe, and then that fell apart. And now they're looking at it as, oh shit, okay, they're trying to do the same thing to us
Hmm.
via proxy war. They're
Yep.
expanding NATO out. I would 100% be in the same position Russia's in, and that's back the fuck off.
Yeah.
I have big booms. You can die quickly. Let's not do this.
Yep.
And I'm of the position that Putin has been very generous with his red line. Personally,
Hmm.
he has let them push past the line time and time and time again. At what point does it end? At what point does the West just say, okay, you know what, we're going to take the L because now we've driven Russia into the arms of China and Iran and South Africa,
Yeah. Literally
India, like,
everything we did has created this basically just this. I mean, I don't want to say the Cold War ever ended because I don't think it ever really did. But if we're ever closer to a time of peak Cold War, I think it's now, when
mhm.
with us pushing Russia into the arms of China, as you said, like China, Russia, in the Middle East. This is another Cold War situation that we caused this time.
And when we elected Biden, we made a really, really big mistake there because they saw weakness.
Oh yeah.
And
Well, I mean, they only invaded Ukraine during Obama and Biden. It's not like
yeah,
that ever happened under Trump, and I doubt it
right.
would have ever happened under Trump. But now
No.
Trump is now saying like, "Hey, what do you want me to do? You guys did this. I'm gonna go and actually negotiate with the guy, which you guys should have been doing for the past 25 years."
Yeah. Well, the same thing. Look at China was quote unquote encroaching on Taiwan for how long under Biden? Trump's in office, and all of a sudden Xi
Quiet.
Jinping's coming out being like, "We have good relations with the United States."
Hmm.
Well, okay,
Yeah,
great, it's awesome.
they're like the
I don't
tariff
know
will
why
ruin our
Taiwan is a thing
relations.
for us.
Yeah.
Like that's I'm very much the we have a giant ocean separating us from them. And yes, we're dependent on international trade, whatever. Outside of that, why do we need to be involved?
Right. Right.
Why do we don't? We should be out of it. Like focus on our own shit. We're 30, what is
Right.
it?
Well,
38, pushing
30
38
trillion
trillion.
in debt. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we
Like
still have. It's not like we have like healthcare to the nines or anything. We still have a huge homelessness problem here. Like, can we focus on our own shit for a little bit? Because we're the
yeah.
ones that are subsidizing Europeans' universal healthcare.
Yeah.
So,
It's it's just insanity. But so I wanted to ask you, this is we're gonna talk a little more about you in
okay.
this part because
Yeah.
so obviously gay Republican living in California, you kind of have a double handicap going for you there, right?
Oh, yeah. 100%.
So you got active on social media. You've got what, almost 14,000 on TikTok.
Yeah.
How did the whole political influencing thing come about? I mean, I know you said you were in DC for a while, and like, did it start there, or did it start more so when you got back to California and were like, okay,
Um, I've always kind of wanted to be a voice in the, what is it, you call it, the homocon movement?
I hate the term because the homocons that are at the forefront are just shitty, but yeah,
Yeah, that's fair.
the
Uh, I've always wanted to be a voice in there and something that wasn't so ultra, stereotypical and stuff like that. But
yeah.
I I I don't know. I just felt like when I really wanted to pursue that, it came at a time when we were ultra saturated. I think it was two
Mhm.
years into Blair White being here. We had, Who was that one kid that he was the son of the football player who's now a representative? Christian, African American, and he was very obnoxious.
I, I I'm
I can't remember his last name, but we had him. You know, we have just several gay influencers that were conservative at the time. So I was just like, I'm just throwing, a hot dog down the hallway, so to speak. Like it's not going to gain that much traction, and so but then my ex of all people was like, hey, I've been doing really good on TikTok. I think you would be really good at TikTok. You should start a TikTok. And I was like, I'll think about it. And so finally, I think what happened, I got into like this huge debate on my Instagram or on my Facebook with somebody. And I'm like, this is crazy. This is wild. This is putting that, that heart blood, my heart rate was getting up, my blood pressure was up, I was getting fuel in the fire, and I was like, I just gotta speak my piece a little bit. And so I
yeah,
got on there, and within like 4 days I got 10,000 followers. And I was like, okay, well, clearly I have something to say. Clearly people want to hear what I have
right.
to say. And so it's been a slow crawl since then, but it's still been great. I've had opportunities to meet other TikTokers. I'm on this fucking podcast.
Yeah, right.
but then but
I'm
yeah,
not even a TikToker. I
yeah,
happened to discover you through TikTok. So
yeah. And then I went to the inauguration. Not there, but I was in the city with a bunch of other
yeah,
TikTokers. So just not only am I able to have a voice, but I'm able to meet like a lot of like-minded people. I'm up to be a delegate in the state GOP convention next year, so that's another thing.
awesome.
So lots of cool opportunities and getting to meet really cool people.
Well, and I'll tell you what, if you start being more active on X, because I think I found your profile yesterday because I was
It's
putting
tiny.
everything
I don't
together for the
post ever.
description.
Yeah.
Start doing it. I'll start introducing you to some folks. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I've got a lot of people here in PA, but there's a ton of people across the country that I keep in touch with regularly. I don't know if you're familiar with his X profile is like World Peace Movement, and he's in California,
Mm.
massive account,
Yeah.
and so I'm supposed to be doing an episode with him at some point, but his entire goal is to become like the Scott Pressler of California. So
Good. I would love to talk
flip
to
the
him.
state red.
Yeah, I would love to talk to him.
So, and you're very much intellectual when it comes to these things. You're not attacking them from like the typical Republican influencer like
Yeah.
mindset where it's like most of these guys parrot talking points.
Yeah.
The way that you go about things, you break them down. Your goal is to like educate and inform. And so, obviously you're doing well with the short form content. Have you ever thought about doing more like long form stuff?
I've definitely thought about it, but I don't have the time. I don't have the time. Outside of work, I'm also trying to restart the Log Cabin Republican Central Valley chapter. So that's
Okay.
been like taking my time too. Um, but I have thought about long form. I would just probably need help.
Right.
I have no editing software. I have an old as hell MacBook.
I can tell
And
you this, the software we're on right now would be perfect for you.
would be perfect.
It's got
Okay.
the studio built in. It's got tons of AI editing features. Like you can, like I have like the intro. I'm going to record because I do like weird sponsorship stuff. So
Yeah,
like
no,
it's my
weird.
it's my own business is what it is. But I'll record the intro. I'll clip everything together. And then you can actually set it up right through this to create like magic clips. So whether it's in like square format or it's reels, whatever, it'll go through and it'll take minute and a half clips and cut them down. So you'll be able to make your TikToks and everything else right from one
Got
piece
it.
of software.
Got it. Yeah. See, like I
It's
don't even know. I don't even know the tools. I don't even know the tools anymore. I felt like I did 10
dude,
years ago, and
let
now
me know. I'm happy to
technology's.
help.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
I think honestly, I think I spend $15 a month on this.
Okay,
Like
that's
super,
doable.
super, super cheap. Um, and then obviously if you decide to get into that, I can introduce you to some of the guys that I stream with regularly that have a bit of an audience themselves. And get things moving. Because, dude, I think you have a lot of potential in that, especially if you're gonna, try to go back into starting at the Log Cabin Republicans. Like, I'm pretty sure the chairman follows me on X.
A chairman of just Log Cabin in general,
Yeah,
like the Charles Moran.
yeah, I'm almost positive
Yeah,
he follows me. If not, I've got Gage West out of Iowa.
yeah, yeah.
I've got Enrico Aloe,
Yep.
he's in DC.
Hmm.
Um, I've got a bunch of folks
I'm
that I
sure
can
you
connect
do.
you with
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
So I think you'd be fantastic at it.
Oh, thanks. Oh,
And then if you're interested too, I can also connect you with Palace Levitt. She's one of the heads of Gays Against Groomers in California.
I thought so. Yeah, I thought I recognized the name. Yeah, I would love to.
Yeah,
I would love to be introduced.
yeah, they're fantastic people. I actually had her on the shows. I think it was like our seventh episode, maybe something like
Yeah,
that. Um, but yeah, if you want to take a dive into it, I'll help anywhere I can.
yeah. I'd appreciate that for sure.
So, I mean, obviously, your goal is to kind of restart the Central Valley Log Cabin Republicans. What are you looking at for in terms of that? Like, is it completely dead and gone? Or are you rebuilding from the ground up, or are you
So
just kind of
basically rebuilding from the ground up. But I took it on 2 years ago, and it just I had a board, and the board fell off, and we did help with like a few events, but it hasn't been anything like crazy. It's also completely volunteer based. So like if I don't have the time or the money at the time, it's very hard for me to actually step in and do anything. Um,
need to
and
get you
these are
some
all excuses
fundraisers?
that I there is definitely time I can make for it, but it's just like the
Right.
little downtime I have, I do
You're
like to
trying to live your life too.
I do like to live.
Yeah.
So um yeah, so I've just been in talks with like state leadership, and they gave me like a contact log, a resource log to reach out to. So hopefully I'll be gaining traction soon. But we'll see. Other than that, yeah, rebuilding from the ground up, I need to get my board refilled, and then do articles of incorporation, all that stuff.
X would be the best place to start those connections. Honest to
Yeah.
God, like
Yeah.
I know a lot of people, like, especially if you haven't really used it, it seems like a really daunting task at first. But the more you use it, the more you post it. Like, I'll repost stuff out to my network. I can connect you in DMs. I think you'd find a lot of very powerful resources through that. And
Got
like I
it.
said, they have the video platform now. They put a big emphasis on it through their media studio and stuff too. So
Yeah.
I think you do really well.
Okay. Yeah, I'll start using X more. Yeah.
Right on. Right on. Dude, thank you for this. We managed to go hit the hour and a half mark, which is the normal one. Live
Yeah.
streams tend to go way longer, but hitting an hour and a half is general time frame for this.
Yeah.
But
No, I'm glad I
I'd
could
love
give
to
it
have you
more.
back on, get you on a panel too.
Oh yeah, anytime. I would love that. I appreciate this opportunity itself. So
Oh,
yeah.
there's nothing. It's a tiny little show. So I'm gonna pull up your TikTok page here so that everybody can see it and follow you. Um, is there any other socials you want me to shout out, or you want to shout out? Because I'm going to drop everything in the description, but anything
Yeah, no,
else in particular?
this is the best way to look at my content is on the TikTok. Please repost as much as possible with TikTok's censorship going on right now. Other than that,
Absolutely.
probably just my Twitter, because I guess I'm gonna start activating that more.
There you
And you'll
go.
probably see the
Love to
same
hear
stuff
it.
on there with maybe some thirst traps, I guess.
Yeah, and I mean long form ideas. Anything you want to just like type and write out. If you get premium, you get so much more. You get a boost into the replies.
Yeah.
Start following and replying to people. You'll take off pretty quick, I think.
Yeah, I'll start giving Musk my money. It's fine.
Yeah, it's worth it. Just don't do premium plus. It's really not worth it unless you are going to use Grok for a lot.
Noted.
Like
Noted.
the regular premium is more than
Perfect.
sufficient.
Great. Okay.
So right on. Well, this has been an absolute pleasure. Let's do it again soon.
Likewise. Thanks, Robert. I appreciate it.
Yep. Talk soon.
Talk soon. Bye.
Bye.